Now, you can change that impression. Somebody will say, Jesus, you don't look like you can do shit. But after I got to know you, you're pretty good. I changed my impression. But they're going to make a judgment on you based on how you walk into the locker room, right? Isn't this right? That's right. How you carry yourself, how you sit down in the locker room, how much you yap. It's a little bit different in a small area, small territory, independence. And I love independence because it's the real wrestling. The higher you go up the corporate ladder, the more bullshit's involved in it. The more you have to watch your back. The more you have to, when you come in a dressing room, you have to find a seat where there's a nice big wall. Because somebody's going to stab you in the back because they want that position. That's all it is. It's just like for the Bengals or the Reds. Somebody gets hurt, the guy behind him says, this is my chance. And sometimes you never get back. So it's easier for me to answer some questions on interview techniques, on uniforms, outfits. Trust me, it's important. How you lace your boots up is important. You can sit in the dressing room. If you don't know, you can watch a guy lacing up his boots. And you know if that guy can work or not. By how he laces up his boots. What he does with his laces. Or how much he talks. And it doesn't matter if you have 20 years business or 6 months business. You can be a good worker in 6 months. Everybody remember Jerry Blackwell?
Yeah. I remember him very well.
Jerry Blackwell was a big old country boy about his size. Wait, bud.
About 390.
I was going to say, Jerry's about 4'10". And I was doing another gimmick at the time, the Mongols. And Jerry Blackwell never was in the ring. But they ran Atlanta Tuesday night, and they ran Atlanta Thursday night. But he was a pretty good athlete. And he watched matches for 5 years straight, sat in the front row. And we had his first match with him. And he could work from day one. But he paid attention. He wasn't worried about how he looked in the ring or if he won or he lost. He was worried about getting in the business. Worry about if you're going to win or lose. The most important thing you do in this business is called professional wrestling. Is what, guys? Getting paid. If it's $5, if you make a deal with a guy, if you make a deal with a promoter, and you say, I'll work for $5 or I'll work for $500, you have to pay me $5,000, and there's a sold-out crowd out there, and you say, geez, I shortchanged myself. But you learned a lesson. But you still got to go out and perform. Whether there's 50 people out there, I've wrestled in front of 50 people in my career, and I've wrestled in front of 135, 140,000 people overseas. The more people, the easier it is. And trust me, you guys, how many guys have already been in the ring for about 6 months? Do you worry? You can't see past the 4th or 5th row anyway, right? The lights blur it out. But when you step in the ring, you're concerned about your match. It's all, they're not going to be any more people come in that night. They don't really want their ticket. So if there's 50 people, you got to entertain. If there's 500 people, that's better. If there's 5,000 or 50,000, it's easy. And you just lead it. You just lead it. And the thing I like to say, when you come in, this is a good presentable ring. People come into the arena, and they're sitting down in the chairs, and the music's playing, and they're buying the popcorn, they're all excited. They come to watch wrestling. this here is the first impression that they have about wrestling, about this promotion. If this thing looks like shit, they've already got their impression of the night that day. You know what happens? Say, for example, you're on the first match, and they got a shitty ring and a shitty apron, the ring's dirty. I like this. I'm impressed with this. Did a good job.
It looks a lot better than
yeah. But
the ropes need a little.
How many guys have been to other areas where the rings and shits? It's all messed up. It's dirty. It's filthy. And you got people that just paid $5, $10, $15, $20. Depends on if they came by themselves. They bought popcorn and all this other stuff. And they're sitting in there, and they're looking at that ring, and they say, "That doesn't look like it's a professional ring." And then you're working first, and you got to work extra hard because they've already made an impression of the night, and you don't even know about it. And you're busting your butt out there, and they're not buying nothing because part of the presentation was bad. You're lucky you got a good promoter here that knows that. He's been in the business. Trust me, you're going to go places, other places, and you're going to see, or you'll remember that. That ring looks like shit. And watch the first couple matches. They got to work extra hard. You got to have an outfit, a uniform, a gimmick. I mean, you guys got boots, tights. How many guys are in overalls, dungarees? There's nothing wrong with it, but you only need one rough guy at the show. You only need one Indian at the show. You only need one masked man at the show unless you're working an angle. You need a cowboy, whatever you got. You can't have two big guys like that, right? If you're a slick moving, high flying guy, that's your gimmick. You got to protect it, because if you don't protect it, nobody's going to. You got to work out. I'm 65. I work out still every day, at least 4 days a week. And this is your business. People are going to look at you, and they're going to test you. And if you look the part, they're going to say, I don't want to mess with that guy. I'm going to look at this guy. I'm not picking on anybody here, but I'm going to go for this guy. I'm not going to pick on his. He looks like a badass. And you don't have to be ultimate warrior, but you got to be able to put something into the business to get it out. You got to have a clean outfit, because if you don't, when you go to another territory, somebody's going to be the living shit out of you. And you're not going to know why. Because your gimmick stinks. Literally stinks. Everybody knows Bret Hart, right? Bret Hart worked for his daddy's promotion in Calgary. First territory he came into was Georgia years ago. I was in Georgia. Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen and a lot of mean, nasty guys down there. Well, Bret came, worked the match. When he came in, there was sort of an aroma. He hadn't showered. He worked the match in Georgia in the summertime. It's 95, 110, hot buildings. Comes back, puts his outfit on, puts his clothes back on. Didn't shower. Did that a couple nights. But the third night, all the guys lined up. He came in, he put his bag down. We all walked, gave him a bar of soap, some aftershave. He said, wash your outfit. Now, that was a nice way. But some guys won't do it that way. They'll beat the living shit out of you. And they say, you stink. And you're saying, well, I'm trying to do my best. No, you stink. You don't get it till you literally stink, buddy. So that's important. A lot of times you're you're probably one or two guys are guilty of it. I was guilty of it. Especially when you're working 300 days a year. But you got to take your stuff out of your bag and air it out. You got to clean it. Because not only is your opponent smell it, when you walk to the ring, they smell it. Right? Take care of your equipment. If you got a gimmick that has tights, buy some tights. They're not that much. Or get somebody to make them. I've seen some artistic people make a lot of money making outfits. You can get anything. But that's part of your gimmick. People buy a ticket to sit where you're sitting and look up there to see a professional. If you look like you just walked off the street, what the hell are they buying a ticket for? Then they start second guessing you, and their impression is you're not really a professional wrestler. You're just one of the guys that you're filling the scrub. And you don't want, you don't want to do that. And especially in a lot of matches, when I was booking matches, I'd make sure that you get yourself in a position where you watch the matches. Because if you're working the first match, and you're working the second match, and you're working the third match, and you've worked the leg, and done all your good stuff, and people are buying it, and he comes up, and he works the leg, and does all the stuff, and people are, and he comes up, and he works the leg, and they're just falling asleep. You're still doing good things, but you're doing the same damn thing all the time. So watch the matches. I mean, you don't have to be sitting in front of the crowd, but get to an advantageous position and watch, at least to watch the match ahead of you. Don't steal anybody's finish. Talk to the booker. Talk to the promoter. If you've got a high-flying move, or you've got a power move, or you've got a sneaky move, or a gimmick move, trust me, it's been done. Don't use his move for a high spot. Don't use his move for a high spot. There's 1,000 things to do. And don't use the gimmick unless you're told to. You're the booker, right? He's going to tell you what to do. Don't freelance. Because when you go to a larger territory, they say, nobody throw a punch for the first 5 matches. If you throw a punch, you're fired. Nobody use a gimmick for the first 4 matches. You use a gimmick, you're fired. Nobody cuss. You cuss, foul gestures, you're fired. You know why they can fire you? Because there's 25 guys want your job. They're happy that you cussed. I mean, this is a good business. We were talking earlier. Most of the guys in this business are good guys. There's a couple assholes. You know some already. And just stay away from them. Life's short. Don't worry about it. Most of the guys are good guys. And you never know. Every territory, small territory, independent territory, there's 2 or 3 guys that can make it. It's just a matter of chance. WWE and TNN's full of them right now. It used to be different. When I started, there were 22 companies in this country, plus 4 or 5 in Canada. That's a lot of work. And everybody was making money. Now you got what, 2? 1.5? But they still need talent. They're grinding up talent right fast now. This is where you hone your trade. Nobody's here watching you that's going to see you in California. Nobody's here watching you that's going to say, oh, that guy stinks. I saw him last week in Maine. But the people on TV, if they put you on TV and you're not ready, everybody in the whole world knows it the first night. There's no place for guys to hide. Before, there's 22 territories. I said, you're going to Calgary, and you're going to Montana, and you're going to California, you're going to Alabama, and you're going to Georgia, and you're going to Florida. You're going to be there 6 months, and at the end of 6 months, you're going to learn how to work. And when you guys all come back, you're all polished workers. But they don't have that now. They got a school in Georgia, or a school in Tennessee or Louisville, and they have guys that don't even train in it. They're cookie cutting it, they're putting them out, they all look alike, all the girls look alike, all the guys look alike, and they put them in the TV on Raw or whatever it is, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and people watch it and they say, piece of shits. Everybody knows Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is a good friend of mine. Kevin Nash had 9 gimmicks. Never got over any of them. Because he wasn't ready when they did that Oz gimmick. He came out, he looks impressive. Took off that robe, stepped in the ring, he was the shits after that. It didn't matter what they put him into. Then they put him in Diesel, then they put him in this, then they put him in that. He's a big guy. He knows his way around the locker room and around the office. That's why he's still making some money. But if Kevin Nash was right here, and I've told him before, he can't work a lick. And there's hundreds of guys like that. Lex Luger. Lex Luger can't work a lick. I probably got most of you guys here can work better. But it's timing. He had a particular look at that time that was different. And it's timing. Luger was better than Kevin Nash. I'm not knocking Kevin Nash. But it's like some of these guys are like rock stars. They get one single and they go. You know how long you want to be in this business? As long as you want to be. I started in 1974, and I get calls every weekend. I don't want to work that much. I like to book myself about 2 times a month. Most of the time it's just out of house. But I've seen thousands of guys that were in this business, not in this business now. Because they didn't learn how to work. They didn't learn their craft. This is a lost art, guys. I'm sure you've listened to him tell you some stories. You don't have to go out there and do everything in the world. You have to be a good orchestra leader. Every match, I don't care if there's 50 people here or 5,000 people here, somebody's around this ring that you can pick on as a heel and get him involved in a match or her. And she or he despises you, and now they're working for you. Because they get them all riled up. And then their family or friends, and then this guy's getting involved in it. Hey, shut up. Sit down. You married to this lady or something? You get them involved, and all you're doing is orchestrating. You turn your back to them and you turn around again, and you got them. And now, it makes the whole night easier. But when you're in the ring, don't go through motions. Don't go sit in back and say, okay, we're working. We're going to do this. You're going to do 25 things. And none of them involve having the fans in it. These people right here come because they want to holler at you or cheer for you because they can't holler at their boss. They can't cuss their wife out. They just got fired. They got bills they got to pay. So this is an excuse. But if you ignore them and you're in here, you're going bump, and go down, they got nothing out of it. And if I acknowledge it, hey, what the hell are you looking at me for? You can't dislike me that much. And then they erupt. And then this guy gets, and this guy gets, and this lady gets. And now they hate me. I'm the boss. I'm the girlfriend. I'm the mechanic that just screwed. Whatever it is, right? But if I totally ignore them, I'm letting a lot of this energy go. Any questions, guys, please? I could talk I'm a teacher. I can talk for 8 hours. I do it every day.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about how easy it is for a heel to get over and get into the crowd and say, leave me alone, or you can't hate me that much. What about for a face? If he comes out and the crowd is kind of dead, what would a face need to do to really... You've got
to get them enthused. Here's a good thing. Everybody remember Wahoo McDaniel? Maybe it's before your time.
Oh, I remember Wahoo very well.
Was a legitimately tough son of a gun. Miami Dolphin #1 draft pick for the expansion draft. 3-time All-Pro. All-Pro. And he's a 3-time All-American. A tough guy. A legit guy. But Wahoo was a babyface his whole career. Indian, you're going to be a babyface. And Wahoo used to get in fights with George Scott because George says, you got to be more vocal. You got to promise these people something. A heel can do anything in the ring. A heel can come up here, get in the ring, jump over the ring, trip, fall, and get up like nothing happened. What do you, I planned it that way. And the people are laughing. Well, you know, I didn't lose. He pulled my tights or whatever. But a babyface got to be careful. A babyface has got to be real careful. You can't piss off the people. You can't disappoint the people. So what you got to do is you got to be a handshake. When you come out, shake some hands. Come on, I need your support. You got to get behind me. Come on, look. You have to almost beg these people. And after a while, they'll get with you. But you got to talk to the heel. The heel's got to give you some life. Everybody knows that the heel leads the match, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the heel, if you're working with a babyface and he's just so, you got to give him some life. You got to do a couple spots on him, bing, 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 miss something, and give him some breathing room. Stoke the fire, and then scoot, and let the people cheer. You got to work hard as a babyface, especially if they don't know you. After they get to know you, then you know what how successful a babyface gets over?
I've seen some pretty successful ones.
Sell. Sell. Everybody knows what sell means, right?
Yes.
You got too many guys now. We worked with the Road Warriors. They were Demolition. Good friends of mine. Now, if I'm working with Andre the Giant, Andre's, and I've worked many matches with Andre. He's a superstar, Demolition.
Machines.
Yeah, but I mean against him.
Oh.
Now Andre's 7'2". At that time, he was upright, standing upright. 600 pounds. I was around 305. Pretty good shape, but nothing compared to him. Now, when they first come to the ring, everybody's going to say, it doesn't matter who you are. Whether it was Mulligan, John Studd, whoever it is. Andre's going to kick the shit out of him. Right? But Andre was smart enough to know he can't go in there and kick the shit out of me. We got a 30-minute match. So he beats the crap out of me a little bit. I do my backing up. I'm timid. I'm pissed off, this and that. And all of a sudden, he takes a tumble. He slips on a banana peel, or I give him a cheap shot. And boom, I'm on him like a rat. And I'm not going to let him breathe. Now, eventually, the people are going like this. Come on, Andre. Come on, Andre. Come on, Andre. I used to tell Joe and these guys, all these guys, Ultimate Warrior, if people are cheering for Andre the Giant and trying to give him help, why in the hell can't you sell? Oh, I work out. I lift weights. I can bench press 350 pounds. Shit, he could probably do that with one arm. But it's psychology, guys. You're only going to be as big and as strong as you are tonight. Tomorrow you start working on getting stronger and bigger. But tonight we're going to have a good match. Now, if I hit you, Valentine's a classic example. When Valentine comes up asking, I'm working with Greg Valentine. He'll tell you the true story. My finish as a superstar was a clothesline and cobra. We're coming to the culmination of the match. We got him rocking. Valentine's starting to sell, bing, bing, bing. Throw him in. I go to give him a clothesline. I go off my feet. Boom. I take the bump. Valentine's standing there. Say nothing. Another match. Next night, same little spot. You think Valentine went down that night? Because I give him a potato. He went down. Jesus Christ, what'd you do that for? I said, I thought last night I missed you. He just killed me. Right? You can kill him or you can make him good. If I want to give you a flying headbutt, and you don't sell it, well, what the hell's the sense in that? Unless it's your gimmick or, you know, a power driver, right? Boom, and you get up and beat me up. What that waste of time? People want to believe this shit. They hear every day it's fake. We were talking today. Everybody mentions, oh, is that fake? Even the goddamn guy. what's his name, our buddy down there?
Andy Furman.
Andy Furman. Oh, this is fake. Is it really fake? Is it fake? Again, he's got 1 foot in the business, and he's not smart. That's the most dangerous guys. We're in it to protect it. It's your job, your job, your job, your job. Everybody's job in here to protect the business. There's too many people out there who think they know everything about it. We get involved in discussions with people, and they'll say, you know, one time really, I did see this one match, so I know they were really upset. It's all the work. You know why it looked good? Because when I hit you, you sold it. And I came after you, and I looked like I was killing you. Now, the difference between, everybody knows what snug and stiff is, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between being snug and being stiff. But sometimes you got to be stiff. You always should be snug. You can't do stuff that people look through. They're looking through. You're under a microscope. They're looking and say, oh, hell, he missed it. The guy took a hell of a bump. He missed it. Don't be afraid. This is a contact sport. It's not like football. It's not collision, but it's a contact sport. And if you can't take a couple bruises and bumps once in a while, then you're probably not in the right business. Because as you go up the ladder, it's going to happen all the time. They expect it. But it's every one of you guys in this business to protect the business. You might not have seen it yet, but you're going to see it. There's going to be somebody with wear a mask. He comes in, he wears the mask, he does his match, and he wants everybody to acknowledge him, so he walks out with the mask and he says, yeah, it was me, I was the mask, how was the match? Never ask anybody how their match was. They'll tell you. But especially don't ask the promoter. If you go up in WWE or any Georgia territory, Florida territory, you go up and say, hey, how was my match? How was my match? First thing they'll say is, I didn't get a chance to watch it. They always watch it. If it was a good match, they'll come to you and say, hey, it was a good match. Or the guys in the locker room say, hey, it's a pretty damn good match. Here's what you need to do. Have this or have that. Or do this. They're trying to help you. But if you're asking, they're not going to try. They're not going to help at all. And another important factor in this business, guys, you've got to protect your opponent. If somebody's going to get hurt in the ring, between you and your opponent, from a silly move or a dangerous move, it better be you, because you're responsible. Everybody knows what a receipt is, a potato. If you don't give receipts for somebody who's dangerous, they're going to keep getting the dangerous moves. So you can talk to them, say, you know, let's eliminate that dude. But if we try it again, it's up to your responsibility to give them a receipt. If you don't, they're going to prey on you. Just like I told you, if somebody watches you come in and sit down and put your bag down and watch you lace up your boots, they're going to know how you work as soon as you lock up on them. You guys know that already? You can tell if somebody's competent, somebody's nervous. It's a difference between being nervous and not knowing what the hell you're doing. Because nobody wants to go home hurt. Right? Whose responsibility is it? To protect them. Well, yours. Don't do a stupid move. Don't practice the night of the event. Practice before the event or after the event. Don't do something goofy. Because this ring, you only got so many matches in your body's hands. Anybody been hurt seriously? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got 9 guys you're going to be seriously hurt before too long. It's inevitable. Different types of seriousness. Old muscles, broken ankles, broken wrists. But it's going to happen. This is the extent. See, my friend, that's my extent. And I'm one of the lucky ones. But that's from pulling and moving and somebody hitting a chair or somebody, you know, trying to protect somebody else. Put my hand up, but it's all part of it. Torn biceps, torn pecs. And I'm one of the good ones. And in 10 years, you're all going to be like that. But you're going to be like that if you're working as a welder. You're going to be like that if you're a mechanic, the car slips, a shoe salesman, and a bunch of the boxes fall on you, so it doesn't matter. At least this way you can enjoy yourself. And this is a good fraternity, guys. Do you realize how many thousands of people in the United States, well, millions, want to be where you're at? But can't. But it's up to you to protect it. If you go out, this is that, you know how we do this, you know how we do that, you'd get kicked out of the fraternity. Anybody know Bill White here? Bill White was a good underneath card guy. This is an important point. When you guys come in the dressing room, especially if you're in a new territory, find yourself a seat someplace, shut your mouth and listen, because this is where you're going to learn. Don't be braggadocious. You might be the 2nd Street champion in Middletown. Might have a big belt. Haven't done anything yet. And one thing that you don't do, ever, is go on somebody else's bag. Somebody's going to say, oh, go in my bag and get this and get that. I'd rather not. Because it only takes one guy to see you going in somebody else's bag to say, this guy's a thief. Then you're a thief forever. Say, I'd rather not. Oh, what do you mean? Well, I don't feel comfortable going in your bag. You know, tag partners is different. If your tag partners, your manager or something like that. Because somebody's going to be sitting there. And somewhere along the line, something's going to be missing. It might not be today. You might be in a dressing room. And somebody's going to say, hey, somebody got my phone watch. Or somebody got my wallet. And that guy's going to say, I remember that guy. He was in that guy's bag about 6 months ago. Innocently, you were getting some tape. Don't do it, guys. Ask them, hey, come on back, or you come back and get it yourself. Or have one of the promoters or something do it. Questions, please.
I have a question. For the most part, I've been doing the commentary and interviews for the DWA, although I was training for a while to actually get in the ring. But I was concerned about my age. I'm 36 years old. Is that would you consider that too old to start a wrestling career?
It's probably not too old to start a wrestling career, but your aspirations are probably going to be working independence in smaller territories, unless something catches on. Are you talking about ring work or managerial work?
Ring work, that's what it was.
Yeah, realistically. I started when I was 26, and that was almost too old. But it doesn't mean it is. But right now, they're bringing in a lot of younger guys. But there's always when I started, most of the top guys, and he'll attest to this, were 40, 45 years old before you can even consider main event. All the guys in the dressing room are older guys. They've been in the business 10, 15 years. And when we come in, we didn't say shit. We sat until we were talked to. Just out of respect. And all of a sudden, once they know that you love the business and respect the business, then they'll open up to you. But there's a window of opportunity there. It was about 35 to about 45. Those were guys making some money. And then Vince came and changed all that and lowered it down and started getting rid of guys that were 35 and so. But then he found out, hell, he was getting rid of all of his experienced guys. Who's going to teach the guy that's 19, 20, and 21 how to work? Who's going to teach? Of course, the guy looks fantastic. You know, he can do all the moves, but he doesn't know what the hell to do. There's no psychology. So they start bringing them back, one at a time, and they had a good mix. You can't discriminate for age because age is experience. I mean, you're getting better. How many of you guys are much better now than you were when you first started? Just by doing it. And you're still, some guys are still stumbling and fumbling. I know I'm better, but how the hell did I get here? It's through work. It's through trial and error. It's through getting in a ring with a more experienced guy and a least experienced guy. So you're carrying him and he's carrying you, but you're still working for the whole. The whole process is to have a good match. If you're in a singles match, it's you, your opponent, and the referee. You can't ignore the referee. He's part of the match. He's as much of the match as you are. If you're the heel, you got to lead the match. You got to make sure the babyface looks good. He's selling, but he looks good. He's alive. And you got to pay attention that you're not burying a referee. If you're going to use a gimmick for a finish, and he's the referee, why am I going to pull a gimmick out right in front of the referee, KO my guy, and expect you to count him out, 1, 2, 3. And that happens, and you do it, and then you know where the heat's at? Not on me, it's on him. That's no good referee. All the heat, all the work that him and I did in the match goes to you. And you don't even know why the people don't like you. There's rules in everything. Football, every sport has rules. The more rules there are, the easier it is because you can break those rules as a heel. You can bend them as a heel. In football and baseball and basketball, you get penalties. In wrestling, you can bend them a little bit. You get heat. Use the rules. Use the gimmick matches, cages, lumberjacks, chain matches. Use them to your advantage. They're all props. No questions about interviews, no questions about outfits, anything?
I have a question about outfits. I'm sorry.
Anybody got something else come up?
If you've got, being part of one of the great tag teams that you were, how important is it that the teams wear the same outfits? I mean, is that more important than how they work together?
It's very important that they have good chemistry first. It's very important that they know how to work. 1 or 1A.
Correct.
If you can't talk, they'll give you a good manager. But it's better if you can talk. Because you're telling a story. The only way people are going to get to know you is if you can talk. You project your image to those people. Outfits are important. But I've seen guys with so-so outfits, Tully and Arn Anderson. Just blah outfits, right? Ring jacket, tights, boots. But they could work. And they complemented each other. You got to be, if you're a tag team out there, you got to be like a football team. You have to anticipate. I don't have to go, hey, come on, do this. I know just by looking at you, and we've worked a bunch, this is what we're going to do. When I get in a spot, I'm going to tag you, and I know you're going to go in there and take the arm drag or the hip toss or whatever it is. But that's from talking, we're together more than our families are together. I worked 52 weeks straight without a day off. Had 2 days off and worked 50 weeks again. Who was I with? All day, all night, at the gym, at the breakfast, at dinner, in the locker room, my partner. So one, you you better get along with them, or you're going to get divorced. 2, you better talk over the matches. You know, God darn it, Barry, when you did that, that looked really good. Or Bill, you know, when you kicked him that time, don't do that. And don't be afraid, because it's us, right? If you got a tag team partner, he better be good, and you better be good, so you can both be good and make money. You don't want him to be the shits and you be the star, but that happens a lot. I'm not going to tell him anything. Everything you do looks like shit. Everything I do looks like shit. Well, we're a team. So, if I don't help you, we're both going down. We're not going to make any money. What's the basis of this business, guys? Making some money. That's all. Now, when you're first starting, it's nice. He's a promoter, so he don't want to hear this. Now it's nice to go and work for gas or whatever it is. But if you have aspirations of being in this business for a career, you're not going to go to Georgia for gas. You're going to go to Georgia for gas and some meal money and a room and money to come home with. But you have to build up to that. You have to earn that. You can't make demands right away. Oh, I want $1,000. Hell, you're not going to get it. But you'll eventually get to that point. And you should aspire to being the best that you can be. The old Marine thing. If you only work in this central part of Ohio, be the best professional wrestler in central Ohio. Take some pride in yourself. That's important. Because if you get up in the morning and say, shit, I don't want to do this. Nobody wants to go. I don't want to. I've been going to work for years now. I don't want to go to work. My old grandson says, Papa, don't go to work today. I said, honey, I'd love not to go to work. A couple more years, I'll be retired, so I won't have to. But I'll probably still do these things because I enjoy them. When I don't enjoy them, I won't do them. Because it's part of my responsibility to pass the torch to you guys. Literally. Because I sure as hell don't want to be down the road and say, man, nobody knows anything about wrestling anymore. Because most, you'll hear it tomorrow. We're doing interviews. We're not doing the signings. You probably already heard it about it. People come up to you and say, wrestling now, it's not like it used to be. It was really good then. It's the same shit. But the guys learned their craft. Some of you guys are going to be 10, 15 years ago and they're going to say, man, when you guys were wrestling, it was really good. Today it's shits. It depends on you, doesn't it? There's a lot of guys in New York, there's a lot of guys in Tennessee that shouldn't be in the ring. They shouldn't be in the ring. But they know somebody, they're involved in the clique, or they're buddy-buddy to this guy, or they stab that guy in the back. This is a vicious business as well as a good business. Even in a small area like this, you're going to find somebody who's going to try to stab you in the back to step around you. That's part of the business. So what you need to do, guys, is be aware of that. Keep your enemies close to you so you can keep an eye out for them. But don't be preoccupied with it. Because your objective is to do the best you can do every night so the fans will come up to you and say, God damn it, I'm going to like to kill you if you're a heel because you've got the blood war. Or, man, you're really good. What a move. What a somersault. Because you're a babyface. Or, you know, we were really cheering for you. God darn it. And you say, thank you. I heard you cheering for me, and I appreciate it, and that's what got me through. There aren't heels and babyfaces anymore. Vince is selling just a stereotypical product. Selling dolls and this and that, that's good. But years ago, we were talking this afternoon, man, I used to get death threats. I burned Inoki's eye, and I'm not the only one, I'm just telling you a story. I burned Inoki's eye Burned Igor's eye. You guys might not know Igor. Igor was a big, had a big old lucky guy, a big strong man. Everybody loved him because he was supposed to be a mental retarded. I got introduced to smoking Victor's. I lit up a cigar. Igor put me in a bear hug. I lit up a cigar, burned his eye. He wore that patch. I got 3 years out of that. He got sandpaper, scraped his eye, abrasions, and the crowds kept coming, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They wanted to kill me. And it didn't finally kill me. Inoki, the top dog in Japan, saw the anger and do it to me. Go to the Tokyo Dome, 50,000 people, burned his eye. I got 13-year run out of it. Supposed to have a final match. 8 weeks later, I'm supposed to have a match, the blow-off match with him. They came and escorted me out. The police escorted me out of the country.
Wow.
They believed it. I got 13 years out of one cigar. It was a cheap dollar cigar. But people believed it. Because they sold it. The baby faces sold it. The baby faces needed the sympathy of the fans. They got it from the fans, and they were doing good interviews. And here's the heel. Doesn't matter who the heel is. He's the nasty heel. And you know what? Then I turned baby face, and the same people that hated me said, "Man, we're glad you're on our side. You're one tough son of a bitch. Would you beat the crap out of this guy because we hate him?" And I didn't change. I didn't change the style, and you guys won't either. You'll be a heel, and you'll get popular because the people say, "Hey, you know, that guy's pretty daggone good." And one night you'll switch, and you'll work against him. You haven't changed your style. Now they hate him, and they love you. I was in Bluefield, West Virginia, working against Blackjack Mulligan, Big John Studd. John Studd was working against Mulligan. My spot was I'm supposed to run down Big Arm. Run down Armory. I'm going to jump in the ring. We're going to tap dance on Mulligan. We're going to bloody him up, lay him there, and walk out. The spot is he gets him in a big bear hug. Studd gets out of it. Mulligan puts the big claw on him. Anybody know Mulligan?
Yes.
6'9", 400 pounds at that time. John Studd, 6'11", about 390. That's about 305 at the time. There's the spot. George Scott, the booker, says, "There's the spot." I'm running down the aisle. I look, there's a guy about his size standing in the aisle. I got to get to the ring because if I don't get to the ring, I'm going to get fired because I'm going to screw up the finish. These guys are waiting for me. And it was just happenstance that I tried to sidestep the guy. He moves, stuck up my elbow, and just bing, caught him on the elbow, just the tip of the elbow on his jaw. Boom, dropped him. Broke his jaw. And I didn't even realize I hit him. Go in, we tap dance on Mulligan. Leave him bloody. Get back to the dressing room. I was wearing a mask at the time. Go to the shower room, take off my mask, put it in the bag. I'm starting to take a shower. 4 cops come in. Says, "Where's that superstar? We're going to arrest him. They assaulted that guy." I don't know, officer. He got this man and took off. Now, I'm telling you this story to tell you why, what happens with people. They hated me. Everybody in that building hated me and Studd forever. I'm thinking, hell, Bluefield was a pretty good time. It was a long trip from Charlotte. I don't have to go to Bluefield no more. So about 6 weeks later, I see on a booking sheet, they give you booking sheets for a month ahead of time. That's Superstar, Blackjack Mulligan, Bluefield, West Virginia. I said, "George, I can't go to Bluefield. I'm going to get arrested." And George says, "You turned babyface last week. They'll love you." I said, "George, this guy is going to have me arrested. Don't worry about it. You're a babyface." He said, "Down in Armory, sits down in a cul-de-sac. This big guy standing outside." I said, "Oh, shit." Malenko was with us.
Oh, yeah.
I said, "Boris, you're going to have to bail me out." So I pull in the car, pull up to the building, and the big guy comes right up to me. Oh, God. You he's got his mouth all wide shut. Superstar. Thank God you're on our side now. I love you. That's the power of TV. And George Scott was right. We're leading them. In the ring, you're leading how they're going to react. That's a lot of power. And the more people are, the more power you have. It can get intoxicating. But you're still going to protect your opponent. You can't ignore it. Questions, guys?
Yeah, I've got another question. You talked earlier about people believing, wanting to believe it, and wanting to get into it again. Last year, over in Australia, Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair did a spot during the interview, or the what's it called, the
pre-event hype.
Yeah, the hype. I apologize, the word's escaping me right now. And afterwards, where Flair left Hogan bloody, it was on a lot of news stations all around the world and on the internet where people were questioning, was this legit or was this fixed? How were they able to get that where nobody else seems to be able to do that anymore? And what did they do that was so different that actually got people wondering, was it legit or not?
Well, it probably wasn't because of Hogan. Probably because of Flair. Flair's a lot of goofy things, but Flair's a good professional wrestler. And he's got intensity. Now, his outside life is all screwed up. But once he's in the ring, Flair works hard. He was taught the old school way. Plus, they probably realized that there was some heat in the past between Hogan and Flair over business transactions. They had, when Flair was working for WCW, he was the it guy, and Hogan was the it guy. He was the franchise. Well, they thought that just because now Flair goes to WWE, they're going to have great matches. None of the matches are very good. It's like when Demolition fought the Road Warriors. Our matches stunk. They weren't good matches. It wasn't good chemistry. They were worried about not looking good. They were worried about not being the Andre and selling, and we're trying to have a match. And even Joe, I was with Joe in an autograph signing about a month ago, so we were talking about it. Our matches stunk. So I realized now that we were trying too hard. They were worried that they weren't going to get over. We were trying to get them over. We couldn't get them over. It's a dance. I mean, if you're in there, and no matter what you do, you can't lead this guy to the right place. It's going to stink. And the people are going to be able to pick it up. And they'll say, that one guy's pretty smooth. The other guy, he's not very good.
You brought up the Road Warriors and so forth. Just out of curiosity, was there ever a match between the Road Warriors and the original Demolition?
Yeah.
I saw Crush and Smash matches, and I saw the six-mans with the Ultimate Warrior.
We used to have.
I never saw a 2-on-2 with the original.
Now, when we had six-mans, they were a lot better. Not good. Barry and I used to pride ourselves in two things. We never had to do an interview more than once. That's saying something. We'd have a minute take, or a minute and a half take, or a 2-minute take, or a 5-minute take. It was a one take. And two, we could work with anybody. We could work with a little guy, we could work with a big guy, we could work with everybody else in between. Because our objective was to have a good match. And you know what? When you're out there working for the match, people recognize those guys are pretty dang good. But if I'm out there worried about how I look, I got to look stronger than him, or I got to look smoother than him, or I got to look faster than him, I got to look smarter than him, it's not going to look real well. It's like I was telling you earlier. We were bigger in stature than both of the Road Warriors. But in their head, they were big as Andre the Giant. So how the hell can we sell for Demolition? How can we sell for our competition? It's a work. We're going to go out there for 30 minutes and we're going to work. I don't want to go out there every night and fight. I had too many of those overseas. You guys get a chance to go overseas, It's a different world. You got to fight sometimes. Because one, they want to get over on the gaijin, the American, the foreigner. That's the only way up the corporate ladder. So if they really look good, and you don't look too good, in their mind, which is all screwed up, because all the top guys, Fujinami, Inoki, Baba, Sakaguchi, they all work. They know it's a work. But the young boys, they're into doing 5,000 squats, doing 500 push-ups before the match. They leave all their energy in the locker room, they come out, and they stumble and fumble, and they look like shit. The top guys aren't going to tell them, hey, you need to do this. Unless they see a guy and say, hey, you're going to go to the United States. Once they send you to the United States, you're over here for about a year, you're working every night with an American, you go back and you're a big star in Japan, or Korea, or wherever you're at, Germany or England. If you can make it here, then you can make it over there. But the matches stunk. And even Joe, like I said, even Joe said, we didn't have very good matches. No, we didn't have very good matches. But it's amazing we had good matches with everybody else. And most of the time they had good matches with everybody else because the guys that they would have would work with them. You got to work with your opponent. You can make it stink. It's like, you know, like this thing I'm telling about Valentine. He didn't mean it, but he almost killed the whole finish. He's bobbing and weaving and bobbing. And if you ever see Valentine, say, hey, how about that clothesline, sir? Because he's still talking about, that's the hardest I ever got hit in my life. I said, come on, Rick, your wife probably hits you all your time.
Another subject about interviews and so forth. Nowadays, all the wrestlers seem to carry their own mics and speak for themselves. What's the role of, say, the Mean Gene Okerlunds and the people who carry the mic nowadays?
There probably isn't a role now. You know what? Here's what you cannot do, and this is what's going to kill this WWE, TNA. You cannot have a robot talking and watch these guys. It must have been so bad for that Orton guy, he don't even talk now. How the hell can you go through your whole career now and be this viper and not talk? Because he used to be able to talk. And he was pretty good at talking when he was allowed to say what was in here. You know, there's build-up emotion, there's excitement, there's happiness, whatever it is. God damn it, we just won that championship, but I never thought we were going to be able to do that. But if you can't say that, golly days, Gene, we just won the belt. I'm so happy. You got to be you. When I first met Vince's dad, was in Japan. I'm over there for a tournament, and he was giving the championship. It's Madison Square Garden singles and the Madison Square Garden tag team champion. So he'd been over there a couple times, and he watched me work. And he said, I know you're working in blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah. So I want you to come in New York. He said, I got a hell of a gimmick for you. So I want you to be a cowboy. I'm over there, superstar. My whole career is mass superstar. I am the mass superstar. I learned how to work as a mass superstar. I had no face, so I had to move my body. I had to let the guy up in the cheap seats know that I was getting hurt. How am I going to do that? I can't go like this because nobody got the same face. I had to be animated. I said, Mr. McMahon, why did you suggest that I come in and work for you? He said, you're a good worker. I said, I don't think I want to come in because I'm not a cowboy. I rode a horse maybe 1 or 2 times. Now, when you go into a territory, and you got a cowboy hat on, and you got chaps or whatever it is, and you're supposed to talk about Texas, you're going to feel self-conscious. You got to be you. So all the time I'd be there, I'd be thinking, is there a real cowboy over here that knows I'm a phony cowboy? Right? Is there a real clown here that knows I'm not a real clown? Because they went to college and graduated, and they know that I got my shoes on wrong? That's what you got to think of. You got to find a gimmick that you become that gimmick, and you feel comfortable in that gimmick, and that gimmick becomes you in the ring. And I used to tell people, a lot of people don't like Superstar. They don't know Bill Eadie. Bill Eadie didn't do shit. But the nice thing about the mask, or the nice thing even about the paint, was I could go into the dress room, go out of the building, drive 50 feet or a mile down the road, take the mask off, and nobody knows who I am. They might see me in a mall, or they might see me at the airport or something like that. They could walk by, and if I say something, that's what usually got people. A guy one time, after about 4 or 5 years of doing it, he became good friend. He said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "How'd you How'd you know?" He said, "Your voice." But for 4 years or so, it can't be him. Which was an advantage for me, because when you see Flair, you see Flair. When you see Hogan, you see Hogan. You can't hide Andre the Giant.
They tried.
They have no privacy. I love that. I love that. And that's what gets me about these movie stars now. They all want to be movie stars, and they want to be on big screen or television, and then they get pissed off because people want to take pictures of them. They want your privacy. No, they don't. They just want to have another excuse to bitch. But you guys are going to have followings. You probably already do. There's people that come to matches specifically for you, for you, for you, for you, and collectively, a lot of people come. And the more people that you have coming for you, the better it's going to be. Some of you guys are going to have some questions.
What's one of the most memorable stories from your career that you have?
I got hundreds of them.
Or I can speak for us, so I'm sure we'd love to hear some of them.
About who?
Anything you'd like to share?
Andre the Giant.
Andre. Well, see, Andre was a good personal friend of mine, and he was my 2 daughters' godfather. So we had a good relationship. He knew my wife real well. We would vacation periodically. Sometimes if we both had time. I went to Japan probably 35 times for a period of anywhere from 2 weeks to 8 weeks at a time, for 15 years. Half of those times, Andre was on the tour. And one of the funny things is, in Japan, the cab drivers are not like the cab drivers here in the States. Their cab is sacred. It's clean, it's well kept and manicured, and Andre did do some drinking. His standard was about 5 or 6 bottles of cognac before and during the matches. But it never affected him, because you realize that Andre is a big man. A large beer to him just one gulp to you and I. So we'd be going to restaurants and stuff, and the gimmick was that I'd have to go out and hail the cab. And the cab would stop, and then I'd have to stop. And maybe, wait a minute, shut them out. And I'd have to tie my shoe, and Andre would try to sneak in the cab. But the cabs are all small. They're little cars. So he'd have his head at one side, and his ass is sticking out the other side. And the cab drivers run, no, 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 no. He's trying to pull him out. This was all the time. And then I'd have to try to get cramped in the front. But if they saw Andre, if they were driving by and they saw Andre, they'd slow down, keep going. And then one time he was drinking when we landed in Pittsburgh. Everybody know Pedro Morales?
Mm-hmm.
Pedro was the champion in New York, but we were in Georgia territory at the time. I mean, Mid-Atlantic territory at the time. We went up to Pittsburgh. It was snowing like hell. And Andre was drinking a drink called Mudslides. There's about 25 different concoctions in it, about that 18-ounce tumbler.
Wow.
We had about 9 of them. And we're trying to get him up on the second floor of the hotel. No elevator. All the rooms downstairs because there's so much snow there. Pushing him up, pushing him up. So I'm trying to go around. I said, well, I'll go pull him. I'll pull him up. I can't hold 600-700 pounds. I'm drunk. Going up the steps. So I let go. And there's Pedro behind. The only thing that saved his life was we went down and they both went through the door and they landed in the parking stall in snow. Pedro's hands and his feet. Get me out of here! I was afraid he was going to be squashed by. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of good guys. You guys will have stories too. There's a lot of good guys in this business. And unfortunately now, guys that I physically contact, either grabbed or wrestled or kicked or punched or gouged or bit, are dying left and right now. Gene Lewis, I don't know if you know Hillbilly, cousin Gene. We were making a trip from New York City to, the drugs don't care, guys. It'll steal your life. You think you can control it, but you can't. And it's ruined a lot of guys' careers. A lot of guys' careers. You can do a lot of good things in this business and get by with it. But you get hooked on the drugs, they'll use you until they get an opportunity to get rid of you. Then they don't give it to you. They send you to rehab. I mean, hell, Jake's been in rehab 25 times. Thinks he can control it. Anybody else? This season, man, I haven't had any questions. Just a couple.
I have a question. I remember back in the Global Wrestling Federation, the first image I ever saw of that was actually of you on screen. You're wrestling as Axis the Demolisher. Axis.
One day.
Just one day?
One day.
Why did the name change then? Don't you own the Demolition?
I had left New York at the time. And I signed the contract when you go into, most of the time when you go into these bigger territories, you have to sign a compete contract where you're going to get so much money per match, you're going to get so many matches, and, it all depends on the individual contract. But my contract had elapsed, and it didn't renew. It wasn't one automatically renewed because I didn't want it that way. I wanted to leave. And I actually had been approached because they wanted us to come to WCW very night. So I had approached Vince 4 or 5 times that, you're not doing it. They brought the Road Warriors in. And I knew they were going to kill us off if we let them. So the best thing to do was to leave. And no, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And what had happened was they promised me an office position. I was going to leave the ring, Crush and Smash were going to work together, and I knew they were going to kill me. I knew they were going to kill me, because you can't have 2 teams like that. And in our situation, I was doing all the negotiation and talking. Very, was good with that. So I talked about the money, I talked about our who we're going to work with and stuff like that, and Larry let me do that. So when it came up to the point where I wanted to leave, they were going to keep Barry. And we were making good money, so the carrot was there. And I said, Barry, we got a chance to go to WCW, and you want to go? He said, I'll stay here. I said, they're going to kill you. It wasn't that. They were getting beat by everybody. Orient Express, everybody was beating Demolition. Couldn't be beat for years, and all of a sudden, you can't win a match. But I went and was contacted by Global and offered a contract to be the booker and talent coordinator. In the interim, WWE at the time sued me, saying I couldn't have the rights to the name. I developed the name. I developed the character. Well, they thought, well, hell, we're going to throw some obstacles in front of them. They got a whole carpet full of 25 lawyers up there downstairs just making money, just filing lawsuits. But I have a good attorney who's a trial lawyer. He's not one of those guys that sends you a paper, don't do this, don't do this. This guy actually goes in, he's the Perry Mason type guy. And he hated Vince, despised him. So I went to Milwaukee, said, what do I got to do? I said, I'm going to go work for Global, and I'm going to get in the ring. And you know, I developed a character, which we could come up with the image and the names and everything. Foot to head. He said, go ahead and change your name, change your first name. I said, do what? He said, Axis. Axis is Demolition. It's close enough to Axis Demolition. Everybody's going to know who you are. So he said, well, I said, why would I do that? How long? He says, just do it for the one day because I'm going to file a countersuit against them. That's what happened. 10 years later, we win the lawsuit because he didn't think I was going to pursue it. He'd have preliminary hearings or interviews or depositions in Hartford. I'd go to Hartford. This was a matter of the principle because I knew I was going to win. So 10 years later, I win, and I have control of the gimmick until 2 days after I die, and I probably won't need it. Then it goes back to WWE.
So do you get paid on like the demolition figures and so forth that Jax has been put out?
Now, when I completed my lawsuit, I took a lump sum payment that they owed me. They owed me money for all kind of gimmicks and stuff. And then these recent dolls, I have my own, as a lawyer, Jax, and now Mattel's coming out with something. We just signed a contract with Mattel. They're replacing Jax. But when Jax or Mattel approached Vince about doing the dolls, they're going to do dolls. So they had to approach them. Well, can we use Demolition? And Vince is going to get paid for it. Oh, yeah, you can use Demolition. Well, I need my money, too. So he's not standing in our way. But our contract is directly with Jax, directly with Mattel. We don't go through Vince.
And does Barry Darso get any of that as well, or is it all for you?
Yeah. Vince maybe is mellow in his, I don't know if he is or not, but he hasn't given Barry any trouble. Because Barry was really concerned about it. I said, Barry, I've got the character. Well, he might sue us. The last thing that Vince wants to do is, my attorney's name's Howard, is sit across the table with Howard again. It's the last thing.
Do you see Demolition being inducted in the Hall of Fame anytime soon?
I'm not going to hold my breath. I mean, if it's going to benefit Vince, I'm sure. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of people talking about wanting us to be in it. But there again, you guys know if you're good. You know if you have to improve. I don't have to validate my career based on getting in a bullshit WWE.
Yeah.
There's no building. There's no real Hall of Fame. It'd be more impressive for me to be in the Wrestling Hall of Fame in Schenectady, because that's legit. I'm in the Hall of Fame in Georgia and Tennessee and Mid-Atlantic and all that stuff. So it's just it's a nice add to, but it's not going to make me or break me.
Yeah.
Because Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that was...
What's the football player?
Lawrence Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor's in the Hall of Fame.
No. Refrigerator Perry.
Perry, yeah. Liberace's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. Brooklyn Brawler's in the Hall of Fame. So it's not a real good cast of characters.
You don't think Steve Lombardi was legit for the Hall of Fame? And granted, he was a jobber in his career, but he was one that really put people over as a career jobber.
In the Hall of Fame. I mean, I thought that somebody. Football caller. What's his name again?
Steve Lombardi.
Steve Lombardi. Steve Lombardi is in the Hall of Fame because he was a good receiver for Pat Patterson.
Oh. Yikes. Okay.
He didn't keep his mouth shut either. He was a pincushion for Pat Patterson. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Gotcha.
Not because of his work. Well, I can't say that. He probably did do a good job.
What's the best thing that ever happened to you on the road on the way up? I mean, pretty much all.
You know, I was lucky. I broke in. The guy that trained me was an old-timer, Guido Mongo. Nikolai Volkov. Everybody knows Nikolai Volkov.
Mm-hmm.
Nikolai Volkov used to be Beppo Mongo. It's like Russian Mongolian. And Guido broke him in, brought him over from Ukraine. Nikolai was a power. He was on their Olympic team. So he came over to the United States and went down and wrestled in a big barn up in Pittsburgh. Guido broke in. Guido was a promoter of the Pittsburgh area at the time. Nikolai got hurt, and we were just breaking in. Me and a good friend of mine, a kid who played football for the University of Miami, grew up with him. And our first break was there we were talking about. Joe got hurt, and he couldn't work. He ruptured his spleen. So I come to work out, and Guido says, "You got to shave your head." Knot in the front and a ponytail in the back, grow a Fu Manchu. We're in Japan 6 weeks. So I'm over there, and he pumped me up. This is a true story, guys. It was funny when I heard about it. Evidently, it wasn't funny to the guys. At that time, it was a 17-hour flight nonstop from Pittsburgh to Tokyo. Guido's in my ear. You know, you're green. You can't be there. You're going to look for the weak guys. They're going to beat the shit out of you. So when you get in the ring, you just beat the living shit out of everybody. I got it. You know, that's college athlete. So 17 hours, and you got to be strong. I got off that plane. I could have gone to the damn terminal walls and jogged 35 miles downtown Tokyo and kicked the shit out of 20 people. So all he's doing, we're before the match. Everybody know Inoki.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, he was the big cheese. I mean, he was God. Seguchi's right under him. Fujinami's right under him. About 4 days into the tournament, we're there for 8 weeks. I'm beating shit out of people. I don't know any different. Guido's in my ear. Don't look weak. Don't look weak. Don't look weak. I wasn't. I'm 320 pounds at that time. Big boots on. Just got done playing football. I'm beating the living shit out of people. Inoki comes over, he sits down, he says, "Take it easy." And that's the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't realize what I was doing. He says, "We can't sell it. You're killing everybody." And even I was over in Japan last summer for an autograph signing. It was like, I hadn't been there for 20-some years, and the guys I worked against still, "Oh, you kill us." They used to call me Cemento for the first couple of years. But that's one good thing. But if nobody would have told me, I mean, Guido wasn't going to tell me. He didn't want me to be weak. But I knew I was doing something wrong because I was getting hurt too. You know, guys are trying to block stuff, they're not open. So when you learn how to work, that's an eye. And you know what? If you learn how to work, you can be in this business for a long time. But if you don't learn how to work, you're not going to be here long. It'll be a short career. The object of the business is to make it look like it's real. Be snug, not stiff. Be snug. make it look like it's real, make the people that buy the tickets in the front, oh my God, that was real. Holy mackerel, that must have hurt. But it takes two to tango. If I give you a good clothesline and you don't go down, it looks like shit. If I give you a good clothesline and boom, you go down, people go, oh my God, how did they take that shit? It's an illusion. There's good magicians and bad magicians. There's good wrestlers and bad wrestlers. Good performers and horrible performers. It's all, it's a craft that you got to work at. Question?
I got one for you.
All right.
How to get a crowd to car lot on a Friday at 12 o'clock?
You don't do it. I should have told myself that. But you know what? I called my wife. She said, I was at autograph signing. I said, honey, she says, you know they never work out. Those things never work out. So we went to a car lot. The guy, our buddy. What's this guy's name? I got it.
Andy Berman.
Vermin?
Berman.
Vermin's sure his name.
Yeah.
Promises the whole world, right? But like I was telling these guys earlier, it's not what you make today, it's what you make over your whole career. You know, if I have to go to that car lot and I got to bring all this money in to pay my bills, then I'm miserable. But I'm here for the weekend, so if we have a nice profitable weekend, I go home, I'm happy. Hey, that was nice. But you got to work today, and work tomorrow, and work next week, and work next month. At the end of your career, you can look back and say, hey, I did a pretty good job. Because there's going to be good matches, and there's going to be bad matches. There's going to be matches you walk away from. You say, God, when I first started, we used to drive down the road, and I'd second guess myself all the time. But it's done. You got to say, I can't do it over. I won't do it over. I'm going to change it. Next match is going to be better. And you think you got it all done. You're working with the same guy for 4 or 5 matches. You think you get, man, everything's cooking, and then you have a stinker. It happens. You're on and you're off. But the object is to have more on nights than off nights. Because the promoter's going to watch. Some scout's going to watch. If you get more off nights, you're never going to move on. Because they say, oh, this guy's got something. We can work with him. They're going to retrain. I tell the kids I teach, you know the purpose of going to school, high school? Oh, I don't know. We have to do all this shit. We don't. I teach the juvenile detention. I got all the bad kids. I got the predators, sexual offenders. Mr. Eadie, why do we have to learn this shit? I'm not going to ever do this. I said, you're going to do a job. The purpose of going to high school is to follow orders and discipline, do things you don't want to do, because then you're going to go to college and you're going to try to do things, but you're still not going to want to do them all. Then you're going to go interview for a job, and they're going to say, college, graduated from college, high school diploma. We can train this guy. You're not going to do what you were trained for. You're going to do what they want you to do. But it's a process of training and going through hoops. They say, this guy's stick, you got to stick to it. We can do something. But if you drop out of high school, you don't have a good future. If you drop out of college, you go to the job, same thing here. If you go in and tell a promoter or the booker what you're going to do, he's going to say, oh yeah. He's already looked for a replacement. That's it. And you never know. The power of the pen, very powerful. Yeah. This guy's a headache. He ain't got it. He's got all the tools in the world. He looks good, he can talk, he can work. You don't have it up here. And that's what this business is about. You want to be in it a long time. No questions?
Well, if we don't have any more questions, we're going to wrap it up for tonight.
Bill's got a
Oh.
big day tomorrow.
I appreciate it, guys. I mean, I tell you what, let me compliment you. This is not bullshit. Because it's Friday night, and I'm sure that all of you have a better place to be. But it's an example that you want to do something with your group to be here. Because probably you got buddies that could have been here and have an excuse. I don't get that shit. If you take, like I tell guys, if you come into my classroom, and this is my classroom, and one thing I said, one thing only, sticks with you, then you're better than when you came in early. I tell my guys at school, if you're with us for 100 days and you sit and don't do anything, and don't try to improve yourself, you're wasting your life. If you learn one thing a day for 100 days, you're 100 times better than you were when you first came. And you guys, I compliment you, because you don't need to sit up here and listen to me talk. But you took time out of your schedule to be here, and I appreciate it. So if you got one thing out of it, then we're all successful. And it might be a different thing for every guy. If you didn't get anything out of it, then that's not my fault. But I do appreciate it. I mean, it's every time I do these seminars, there's a handful of guys, and then you go to the show the next day, and there's a lot of shitload of guys. But the handful of guys are the ones that are going to do good. The other guys, they're too into themselves. Take advantage of what